Welcome to today's collective reading. This is Trinity Gaia Consciousness. I'm going to open today's reading with some sound resonance. And while I do this, I can sense quite a bit of anxiety coming through, and I'm going to do what I can to help you with it. Alchemizing it, definitely, assisting with that, being a channel for that. But also with my cadence, pausing and helping you guys to anchor back into the breath. We have a way of turning that fight or flight state off through breath. So it's a slow inhale, pause, slow exhale. If you do that for a couple rounds, you'll begin to feel that calming in your nervous system. The area of the brain, which, I'm getting to sync with the water boy. You know how they do the whole medulla oblongata? Yeah, that is the part of the brain right now that's fully engaged with this fight or flight state. It will respond to the change in your breath in the same instinctual way. So we can fool the nervous system into, a state of we're at ease. Because you consciously know that in this moment, you're safe. In this moment, your anxiety is about a perceived future, not about what's happening in this moment. So you can begin to feel the calming of the heart rate. More of that blood will go back to the core of your body, including your brain. It won't be rushing to your arms and your legs so much, and it'll help you to be able to have more perspective, to observe what has brought you to this reading, what has called you to this reading, which is you have a choice to make that you know will affect the rest of your life, and that is why you're in that state. Laughter breaks up some of that energy too. So I invite you to find the humor when there are moments. So a deep breath. Doesn't need to be a specific amount of seconds. Pause and then just slowly exhale. As long as the exhale is a little bit longer than the inhale, your nervous system will begin to believe that it's no longer needed to be in a state of fight or flight. Now, I would like to begin by acknowledging that you are a very intuitive individual. You're very aware of a lot of what's going on around you and more than you consciously know. As a child and a young adult, you were, surrounded by people and dynamics that, now you would probably look back and realize had some pretty unhealthy dynamics to even basic interaction that you felt was normal every day. And being as empathic as you are, and when you do care, you care very deeply. That part of you've developed a way of protecting that part of you. So you have a default mode when you interact with others that is similar to how they acted. It was normal to you. Now we would label it narcissistic tendencies. And the reason why you're kind of torn in this moment is because you have two individuals before you that seem to be like that too. And it's hard when you encounter someone like that to not be a little bit fascinated. Excuse me. Ooh. It's hard because you think that you found someone like you who can emotionally regulate, that can understand that you're not actually narcissistic, but you know how to move around others that are and protect that part of you. And the way that they've kind of let you know that they get that is there's been some anomalies. Like your little spidey senses would go up and say, not everything in this interaction is what it seems to be. There's deeper, there's a layer deeper. Something does not jive. So you're like, they're not actually narcissistic. Huh. Well, how? And that's where the curiosity comes in. It's like a puzzle you must solve. There's like an intelligent challenge there, like a game of chess. You want to understand how this, like where everything is in it. There are energies that are interested in influencing you in this decision. You're somewhatly aware of that. It's part of why the fight or flight is so intense. And I invite you to look at this situation like an onion, like it's a circle that continues to expand out from you. The very outer layer is like red team versus blue team, good versus bad, the divine versus the devil, like that kind of opposition. And that's their playing field. That's their chess level. That's their circus, their monkey. But you can feel that conflict. You can feel the projections. So if you're able to go, okay, well, that's that layer, not my circus, not my monkey. It's easier if you've been able to maintain that breath and kind of calm that nervous system to go, yeah, that's not really mine. That feels amplified. This, projection of possible future, possible interpretation of this interaction or that interaction that causes you to have conflicting conclusions, that's deceptive energy. That's an amplification. That's not for you to decide on. That's between that outer layer. Because it's not you. It's projected. It's not you. So you don't necessarily need to really stay in that level to make a decision. Not your fight, not your battle. Allow that to be surrendered to that layer. The next layer down is all the responsibilities that you feel that you carry in this decision. And I definitely get a strong sense that this individual that I'm connecting with, this collective that is called here, that you guys are, whether male or female, you are predominantly in a state of masculine or emperor energy, acting towards, leading, giving to, action-oriented, like soul provider, and you have children and friends and family that sometimes they rely on you. So you feel like, I have to be this pillar of strength and be able to do these things. You feel responsible for their well-being. And those are the people that you choose to have in that part of you that you give of your care, your heart space, your empathy, your energy to, your time. We're going to not undermine the power of this layer, especially when it comes to children, because I definitely get the vibe that a fair amount of you are definitely parents, and that is a profound layer when it comes to this decision in choosing which partner you're going to walk into the future with, which partner you're going to choose. Where the real root that is making your spidey senses go off, that something isn't right, that you don't see everything, something doesn't fit. It's telling you, if you miss this, right? Yeah, that's a projection, that's an amplification. That's why you're in this state. Understanding that allows you to disarm it. So, deepen breath, pause, slower exhale. And lock that in, own that. Okay? To go to the layer deeper, it's the part of you that has wants, dreams, desires, the first person perspective that you have emotionally inside of you in any interaction. Now, I know that you're used to sacrificing this part of you for those around you in the layer one above or one out from this layer that we're talking about. You're used to sacrificing your happiness for others' happiness. You're used to that. And you're so used to it, you don't see it as that in many ways and in many interactions. And any empath that has been able to keep that part of themselves, their light, their love, not taking from other people's happiness, not having gone dark, they will relate to this. So you're not alone in that at all. Definitely not. You have been going through a period of time of learning to assert boundaries. Energetically, verbally, through action, so that you could allow that receptive aspect of you to become more familiar to you. The Empress energy in you. Because you were desiring to have an abundant life. You recognize that making space for that abundance to be, allowing it to be something that you're open to, will attract it into your life, will allow that space to be filled. Because the universe likes checks and balances. And if you create a void, the universe will fill that void. And that's what that is. You're receptive to the possibility. You've made space for that void to be filled with what you desire. One word of caution there. Allow the universe to surprise you. If you get really, really, really detailed with it, you may find that you end up manifesting something you don't necessarily actually end up wanting until you have it. And then you're like, oh, well. And that very well may be what one of these options is. So it is a challenge that your own soul, you, your future self, all of you is present right now to help you, support you in this moment. To prove to yourself, it's really what it is. To prove to yourself that you have achieved balance. That you have the strength and receptivity and receptive energy, as well as an assertive and masculine. You have both. Whenever I pause for a moment, feel free to refocus in on that breath, because whether you yourself in this moment are feeling the increase of anxiety, there is another that is. So it's a reminder. And you can take this skill out of this reading, and I highly recommend you do if you ever feel like this. It's a way of reclaiming your energy, your sovereignty, your independence from this kind of influence. So, one individual is going to be moving in a way that, it just you'll have a basic interaction with them, and you'll think that you know where it's going. But then they're surprised when you come to that conclusion, and you can feel that, you can sense it, you can mirror it, observe it as like a genuine surprise. It's something that I saw in a Criminal Minds episode, like you can't fake surprise. There's just, it's default, it's universal. There's certain ways that your body will instantly, and your energy will react, your voice, everything. You can't fake it. And that'll be a point of comparing between the two, because one side, everything is plotted and planned and orchestrated to have a specific impact for you to have what I call a glimmer moment. I encountered this earlier this week, and this concept it tickles me, because the concept of having a glimmer moment is the exact opposite of having a trigger moment. So it's a happy memory that you are brought back to, and is basically a reminding of So with each individual that you're trying to figure out what's going on here, I'm going to ask you to bring to mind a glimmer moment. And there's some questions that'll help you to determine, and you're the only one that's going to have these answers, whether or not it was orchestrated or authentic. It's like they made it a point to have some kind of a moment, and they being like, not necessarily them as a person, but energies around them. Like their spirit team, or team A or team B, made it a point that you were already in a state of irritation or vulnerability when you encountered them in this moment, and then they had the perfect thing to say that just allowed you to just completely flip that switch, and then they followed it with some kind of a restriction, a limit, a limiting, a control. It's interesting. Because that is a very intuitive thing that's coming through, and you'll know what that is, because it's like, oh, I'm happy and great, and then you're like, I want more of this. But then that person's like, yeah, but I'm not okay with this, or this, and you feel like that's a part of you that you're not willing to, like, you not willing, like, you know that you won't be as happy as you could be without that part. You won't feel free. You'll feel confined. Not trapped, but it'll be like choosing a restriction then. In order to have that happiness again with them, again, you have to agree to this restriction. And it's like there's no wiggle room. There's no learning and growing beyond it. There's no, maybe you and I could heal this part and it could transform in time. It's just no. The other way that these may be more of like the more stressful moments, not necessarily triggering, but stressful moments. When you're overwhelmed yourself and they're maybe wanting your help or your guidance, or they come into your energy and maybe you could tell they have something going on too. How do they handle that? Do they go, oh, well, maybe we can vent together and we can just really kind of feed this energy within us, this emotional state, reinforce those very negative neural pathways, so they're more likely to be a state that you revisit? Or are they going to be on the other side of it with, I can tell you're going through something, and I respect that I don't know everything that you have going on. So even though I have some things that I'm, kind of juggling myself, and being able to talk to you would probably help, this isn't the right time, because you have this like state of, you need to decompress. And I'm not going to add to that overwhelm, that overstimulation. They respect your time, they respect your energy, and they're okay with parenting themselves through those situations, emotionally regulating themselves, not coming to you expecting you to parent their inner child or to manage the emotions of their inner teenager that is traumatized or wounded or doesn't understand. Okay, so I actually had my microphone die on me, but I continued recording for a bit more, so I'm going to kind of go over what came through, and that is that this also may not be a choice between two people. It's a choice possibly between, or a comparison between who they were the first time that you guys were, in a space where you were considering becoming something, and now you're at a point where you're having to decide, have they grown? Have they learned? How are they different? How are they moving? And really the greatest difference between these two individuals is one has healed and developed a relationship with their inner child, their inner ego, their inner teenager, and they are able to parent themselves, manage their own emotional, inner state. And at times, yeah, I mean, you guys are going to disappoint one another. You're going to hurt one another. And most of the times it's a miscommunication. It's a misunderstanding. And someone who has gone through and done this healing, and when they choose to like acknowledge that you're the person they want to spend time with, you're the 1 + 1 that equals 11 for them. Whereas this person that they could have been in the past didn't know, didn't heal, didn't understand this. They were trying to figure it out. They were trying to meet that expectation because they cared about you, but they hadn't done the healing. They were like a 1 + 0.75, and that's just not 1 and 1. So when you have those misunderstandings, to communicate with one another, when you're calmer and you kind of settled, you've done the regulating of where you're at. So when you do communicate, you are like, I know the questions I need to ask. I know the answers I'm hoping I get. And you will probably find that you're both pretty surprised when you do communicate. And being empathic and intuitive as you are, this is a gift, a blessing, because most of the time you already know. But this individual is someone that allows you to live your life and be fully present and have that human experience because they're capable of surprising you. So they are going to be someone, if they move in that way where they're parenting themselves and you can see that they're willing to go, look, you have so much on your plate right now and you need to decompress. And yeah, sure, I have stuff going on too, but I'm not going to add that to what's going on with you and expect you to make me feel better when you're already overwhelmed. And, this could be something that can wait. You need an hour or two, that's fine. You need a day or two, whatever. And this is implying that you guys are like pretty much living together. You're with one another all the time. If it's more of a distance thing, it could be weeks. It could be more than that because there's just so much of your life that there's a little bit of distance there. They're not in that moment, in that space. They're not around you all the time. So they are someone who is going to go, look, I don't understand what happened here. I don't know what you were expecting or what you were assuming or what you thought I meant, but the way you reacted left me very confused. I didn't know why you responded the way you did. And I would like to understand so that we're on the same page. Only when that happens can you move forward. And this is someone that will be willing to grow with you. They're not giving you a flat no. Whereas possibly this other person, even if they're present right now for you, and this is legitimately two different people, if it's a past person or a present person, if they're saying, I am not going to move beyond this, I'm not going to compromise, I'm not going to negotiate this. And it may still be that way. But, depending on what it is, we all have our non-negotiables. But if it's something like, maybe they've had a lot of trauma when it comes to certain areas of their life. And I think you guys know where I'm going with this, but I'm not going to specifically call it out. They may not be willing to be open or explore or be able to heal that part of them to show up the way that you would like to be able to feel free and open and present fully in the moment with them. That may be something that isn't a flat no now. It could be something that they're willing to work with you on, something that they can trust you to be in that space with them where there are those hurts, where there's going to be misunderstandings. And they're showing you trust because they don't want just anybody there with them in that. They want someone who actually cares, who will take the time to ask the question, who will put in the effort to really try to understand their perspective and empathize with them and find compromise. Healing takes time, and it takes repetition, it takes consistency. Just like with this breath that I was introducing you to help regulate the anxiety, to help you stay, clear-headed in moments of overwhelm. It's similar to that. The more you do this, the easier it'll get. The more, just like a muscle, it'll become stronger and it'll become part of your default mode. I feel like I'm like racing the battery here. So, yeah, I believe that was pretty much everything that was there. So I'm going to bring this reading to a close. If there's anything else outside of, oh yes, the reassurance that this is all going to be just fine. You look back at this and you'll be like, wow, I am balanced. I am balanced. I can let this dynamic expose itself in a way. I can let them show me where they're at. I can let them show me by how they move what their intentions are. And I can ask those questions and be surprised at the answer and know the difference between truth and lie because of their actual genuine response. Especially if it's surprise. You can't fake that one. All right, so the divine within me, the love within me that received that ripple effect out from your signal, like on the surface of water, that part of me is now sending you a ripple back, saying, hey, I know you're there. I see you and I respect you. So the divine within me sees and honors the divine within you. Namaste.